Pro Tour Lorwyn Eclipse was probably one of the best Pro Tours of all time, and we covered it in our last video. So today we have brought back Simo!
See, I was waiting for it. I didn't think you were gonna do it. Actually, I was like making faces like
you there for
here
a second.
it comes. You did get me.
I got you there for a second. So we are going to review more of the cards from Lorwyn Eclipse that got played at the Lorwyn Eclipse Pro Tour. Because honestly, I thought that video was really fun for a lot of reasons. The big one being that we had our ratings to go off, but it also, you were really good at like guessing how many copies got played. Like you actually dissected that meta really well. So I wanted to try that with you using cards that I did not ask you to rate before.
Oh, so now we're doing hard
cards.
mode is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think you've seen some of these from doing other videos, but here what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some of the cards from Lorwyn Eclipse, and you're going to like kind of look at it, read it like you do, think about whether or not it's good, and then we're going to use what you already know about the meta game from the Pro Tour that we did in the last video to try to guess how many copies and like what rank this had, how many people played it.
I love that you have this data. This is awesome.
I do. I also have the data that we used in our last video. So if you are looking at a card, if I say show you a card and you say, did this get played more or less than, I don't know, a Bitterbloom Bearer, I can easily remind you that 16 copies of Bitterbloom Bearer were played in the Pro Tour, but none made the top 8, making it the 26th most played card from Lorwyn Eclipse at the Pro Tour. Sure. And you can then now be like, well, this is better than a Bitterbloom Bearer, surely. Or is it? Surely. And that is how we can go about like rating these cards. I thought that would be a cool way to do one of these videos instead of having no data to go off or having maybe like 20 years of data to go off. We have this very cool data point very recently that we both know. Sound fun?
Instead of playing Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, we're playing Are You Better Than a Bitterbloom Bearer?
A Bitterbloom Boomer.
Oh, Boomer, yeah, exactly. Bitterbloom Boomer, excuse me. All right,
exactly.
All right. This is going to be great when or if I go to Magic Fest, Magic Con, whatever you guys call it, since it's in Vegas, obviously. And everyone's going to come up to me and have me sign their Bitterbloom Bearers, because I already know that's going to happen.
People seem really into your evaluation of that card.
Apparently, and guess what?
Really
I was right. So anyway, let's do it.
So if you aren't looking at the YouTube comments, there are a great many. And if you're looking at the YouTube comments, then you should also be able to notice that in the description, there's a link to Dragon Shield, who is a sponsor of my channel. And you can use CGB5 to get a discount on your card game sleeves. And CoolStuffInc.com does support the podcast and has a special code for podcast users. CGB Pod will get you a CovertGoBlue token and a discount on your orders at CoolStuffInc.com.
And they support us making these videos.
Honestly, yeah, it's kind of awesome. They've basically said any project I want to work on, like they want to know what it is. They want like the first crack at it, and they jumped on the podcast, and here we are.
It's great. It's awesome.
So let's analyze a sexy character and see whether or not this person made the Pro Tour, okay?
Sexy character, huh? All right, what do we got?
Oh, yeah. This video is brought to you by Boot.dev, and I have a burning question for you. What happened to your talent? Did it get exiled? Did it get lost? Does it rest in peace? Maybe you just didn't have the endurance to keep it going. You need a map to a talent that won't get exiled by a blue mage. No more lies! Boot.dev will take you from beginner to expert the fun way through a hands-on RPG-like experience. Boot.dev will teach you back-end web development from start to finish in Python, SQL, and Go. Bored learners quit. Smart learners never get bored. That's why Boot.dev designed their curriculum to work like creating an RPG game. Need help? Boots is a bear wizard. It's your personal AI tutor that's been trained on every lesson and has full context of what you're learning so he can help you if you get stuck. He doesn't just give you answers, he will help you get back on track. Oh God. So go to boot.dev using the link in the description or the pinned comment and use the code CovertGoBlue to get 25% off when you sign up for the annual plan. There's also the code on the screen. Do the code. This is where the code is. Thank you to boot.dev for sponsoring this video, and back to the video. Everything seems funnier in those glasses.
Oh, you weren't kidding. Look, this is male sex appeal female sex appeal at its finest. This is
Hey, some of the guys like it.
Hey, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Depending on which way you go. Oko, Lorwyn Liege, 2 and a blue. Did I ever tell you the Oko story?
This just pops right into the middle of your reading of the card. This must be an epic story.
Because it's Oko, yeah. So so my wife and I were long distance for the first part of our relationship, and I would go visit her every month because I was always working on the East Coast, and she was in law school in Brooklyn. And so I would say, okay, I'm gonna go work, then I'll come up to you, and then I'll go home. And one of the things we did actually was I do not remember, is it Throne of Eldraine? Something of Eldraine, where Oko was originally printed. You can probably
And you came home and found a life-size Oko cardboard card.
No, I did. There was no Oko body pillow. There was no Oko body pillow. But what happened was, I think I went to my local game store and got 2 of like the pre-release kits for whatever Eldraine set it was.
Throne
that original
of Eldraine.
It was Throne. Okay, thank you. There's multiple Eldraines, I think, at this point, so I couldn't remember. Anyway, so because she likes Magic and hates Yu-Gi-Oh, so I'm like, okay, this could be like a fun thing that we just do together. So we basically open our little sealed kits and build our decks. She pulls Oko and proceeds to rail me for the entirety of the time that we played, because Oko in Limited is absolutely busted. And so that is the story of Oko and me. So I thought you'd appreciate that.
Your now wife elked your whole deck.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'm surprised there's not elks all over the house to remind me of her thrashingly decimating victory over me. Anyway, and she'll never let me hear the end of it, by the way. So anyway, this is trauma dumping Lorwyn Liege for 2 and a blue and has a loyalty of 3. And at the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay green. If you do, transform Oko. This is very reminiscent of that other card we looked at, the red-blue one. For +2 loyalty, up to 1 target creature gains all creature types. And for +1 loyalty, target creature gets -2/-0 until your next turn. And I imagine you sent me the flip side, and you did. So let me remind myself here. At the beginning of your first main phase, so you have to do this on the next turn, based off the way that is worded. Next turn, you get to flip it potentially into Oko, Shadowmoor Scion. It's the same thing as before. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may pay blue to flip it back. For -1, this is crazy that this has 5 loyalty abilities because it's a double-sided card. I'm going. It's like you complain about Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I think this is worse. Anyway,
I complain about this too.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
I
We're in the same boat
promise you,
then.
I do. Yeah.
-1, mill 3. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand. Ooh, like that. -3. What does it start on? 3? Starts on 3. Okay. -3. Create 2 3/3 green elks, of course, because it's Oko. And -6. Choose a creature type. You get an emblem with creatures you control of the chosen type. Get +3/+3 and have vigilance and hexproof. So kind of cool that like on the blue side you're going up in loyalty, and then on the green side you're going down in loyalty. That's kind of a neat little thing. But this card has a lot of effects. Holy crap. This card has like 6 different effects.
Yeah. Are any of them good?
Great question. That's for me to figure out. So immediately I don't like that you have to wait a whole turn to flip him. Like in your game, that's not like the end of the world, but you can't like play him really into an established board because otherwise they just run over him.
Just always picture him like you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2005, 6, 7, something like that.
Okay, but you're not doing that, so that's not the same thing. So at best, you go pay 3, drop this +1 to protect him, or you just up 2 and something just gains all creature types, but you already need something in play. This effect doesn't end. Okay, so it's permanent that it gains all creature types, which is like fine. That's like, because there's like a tribal theme with this set, right? If I remember what you told me.
Yep, that is accurate. But just so you know, this effect doesn't end in Magic, isn't the same as in like a digital game like Hearthstone. If it goes to the graveyard or blanks or is returned to hand or shuffled into the deck, it no longer has that effect.
That's what I figured.
It's just while that piece is on the field. Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they had to put the parentheses there because I feel like that was obvious, but whatever. Okay, so the front side is not great. It's fine. It has like one of the things I feel like with Planeswalkers that I'm learning is like if it doesn't really have protection on its like first ability you use with it, it's kind of bad. This like sort of has protection, but not really. Like it can make something go -2 while you're going up 1. So like now they need like a at least 4 swing to get over you, but like I don't feel like that's that hard, to be honest.
It's kind of wild that Oko from Throne of Eldraine was a +2 going up to 6 loyalty.
Because he was only 3 cost,
for 3.
Right? That's insane. Yeah.
Well,
not to mention though too,
5, but it doesn't produce anything.
His plus ability turns something into an elk, right? The old one, not this one.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
So not only are you
made it a 3/3. Yeah.
Right. So not only are you going up, but you're also creating something to protect him, right? And like this doesn't do that. This just like if something's already established, it makes it weaker. But even then, it's like I don't feel like it's hard for your opponent to like get 4 loyalty worth of damage to like kill him. So like it doesn't produce a thing. Like if it produced an elk, then like okay, now we're cooking. But that's on the backside. You have to wait a whole turn cycle, and then for your patience, at the minimum, you don't get to do the -6. You can either make the elks, which is after it's probably already dead, or you just mill 3 and get something to your hand, which is like a good effect, but you have to wait a whole turn to do it. I feel like you could just play. I feel like there's like green cards that are just like 1 and a green to just put something in your hand. So I'm not in love with this. I'll be honest. Like it has a lot of text, but most of it's kind of like a nothing burger. And it just feels really slow, like really, really slow. Maybe I'm undervaluing some of these effects as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and maybe I'm just giving you a thumbnail right off the bat, but like this just does not seem great. It's fine if your opponent doesn't play the game for 3 turns, but that's never going to happen. So I have to guess how many copies were played in the Pro Tour of this.
Yep. Number of copies in the Pro Tour, as a reminder, had 306 players. There are some known quantities. We know that Deceit was the 5th most played card with 260 copies.
Because that card was good. That's the difference.
Yep. Ashling Rekindled had 94 copies played and was the 13th most played card. So
306 times 0 is still 0. So I'm going to go with 0.
0. Less than Bitterbloom Bear. Wait, this or Bitterbloom Bear?
I think Bitterbloom Bear is better than this. I hate to say it.
Whoa. Yeah. Okay. The funny thing about this is so funny to me. I really agree with you. I said to Raren that I thought this card made me angry that they would make another 3-mana Oko this bad. Like,
okay.
It actually upset me. The thing I guess we both missed is if you have a sideboard and you are on the play and you are a deck with a bunch of Llanowar elves in it and you just have this on turn 2 before the opponent can establish anything, then I guess making 2 elks is a bit of a game breaker. You just get so far ahead. But it really couldn't see play without mana dorks. I have to stress, like, the idea that you're getting this down on turn 2 is essential to this. But there were so many Badger Mole Cub decks that were already running so many mana dorks that they needed to diversify their threats post sideboard against control decks, which didn't do a good job pressuring Oko anyway, or they just needed to really lean on going super wide, super fast against other aggressive decks, which if they knew that they were going first and had Llanowar Elves in their deck, they could sideboard in Loco, Lorwyn Liege. And as a result, where'd it go? Where's my number? I was building up to this. It disappeared. Oh, shit. Really? 148 copies of Oko Lorwyn Liege were played in the Pro Tour, making it the 10th most played card from the new set.
So you go turn 2, you drop this, then it lives. You up it, then turn 3, you flip it because it probably lives because there isn't anything on turn 2 to kill this. And then you make 2 3/3 elks. And you're saying from that, the game is over. Wow.
You're so far ahead. So that board presence, either it gets aggressive and the opponent has to deal with that, or like they just can't threaten Oko on the ground anymore. So
Right.
from there, you're just like flip back over, +2, flip back over, make 2 more elks. So 2 elks every turn and paying the mana was pretty trivial in a deck with Badgermole Cub. So yeah, it was just a way to push your advantage and have a different creature type. If the opponent wiped the board, flip your Oko over and make 2 more elks again, and you just have constant pressure. And I mean, I am doing my best to parrot what I heard on broadcast. I have never lost to this card. I have never had a problem removing this card. I have never played this card. And check this out. This is how seriously situational this card is as a pivot.
Okay.
148 copies at the Pro Tour. How many do you think were in the sideboard versus the main deck?
148 copies.
So 5 copies were in the main deck. The other 143 were all sideboarded. Yeah. Wow.
So it's interesting though, because like Yu-Gi-Oh does this a lot. Like very much so with the sideboard. It's like you have cards that are like guaranteed dedicated going first or guaranteed dedicated going second. And it's like, you know that. And so I get it. That makes sense. I just really didn't think that, like you said, it doesn't seem that problematic to remove, but what do I know, you know?
Yeah. It also plays interesting with something I haven't shown you yet, and I'll circle back to it.
Sure.
So that's pretty fun. Okay. So we're starting out with a bit of a curveball. This is the one that blew my mind the most. I would have been right there with you. That's surprised.
Crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. Like the pros know best. So what can we say? We're just 2 dumb YouTubers, you know?
Just 2 crazy card gaming YouTubers.
Yeah. Okay, Sunderflock. This is expensive. Oh my god. 7 and 2 blue for a 5/5 elemental. This might be the best card I've ever read in my life. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest mana value among elementals you control. Okay, that makes this way better then. It has flying, which I'd hope so, because it has wings. And when this creature enters, if you cast it, return all non-elemental creatures to their owner's hands. When it enters, if you cast it, return all non-elemental creatures to their owner's hands. Okay. Question. If you can answer it. Was there like an elemental deck that saw play in the Pro Tour?
Oh, yeah. We'll recap this a little because we talked about it in the last one. Ashling Rekindled made the 13th most played card because of an elemental deck. And I showed you Roaming Throne, and you've seen some of the Evoke elementals, such as Deceit. And yeah, there was a very good Deceit Roaming Throne deck at the Pro Tour.
Okay. And you said there was like 306 people at the Pro Tour?
Yep.
So this is interesting because you're only probably really playing this in an elemental deck because it's all elemental synergy. So if you're not playing elementals, there's probably no reason to play this card from my understanding. I get, yeah, because like it returns all non-elemental. So like if anything, you could play it by itself and it'll like probably like quote board wipe. But even then you don't want to cast this for 9. So you have to play like some degree of elementals. Otherwise there's like no point. So 306 people means that at most there would be 1,200 copies of this card. That's obviously not going to be the case. So how many of 306 people do I think played an elemental deck? Probably.
We know Ashling had 94 copies.
94 copies. So 94 divided by 4 is 23. Now I busted out the calculator. 94 divided by 3 is 31. So somewhere between 24 and 31 players were on the elemental deck. So if I want to just like average it, I could just say 27. Now, how many copies of Sunderflock are you playing is another question. I don't feel like you play 4 of this. That seems a bit excessive because of how expensive it is. At minimum 2, I think possibly 3. So if I do that, that's between 54 and 81 copies. So if I want to like split the difference, I can say that 60 copies of this card got played. I'll say that. I'll say 60 copies of Sunderflock.
60 copies of Sunderflock.
Yeah.
All right. What an interesting card. So it kind of won you over. You like it better than a bunch of the other things.
Yeah,
that
like
rated.
it's a board wipe. I mean, it's not like a true board wipe, but it's basically a board wipe, right? Because I mean, in your game you have to pay for stuff to play it, so it's effectively a board wipe. It's a flyer, which is irritating too. So even if they reestablish, if they don't have flyers, you just attack anyway. And if you're playing elementals, it's like you get to cheat it out for like a pretty reasonable rate. So I think I like it.
One-sided board wipe, yeah. And so do the pros. This had 143 copies at the Pro Tour, making it the 11th most played card, right behind Oko. So while it's interesting that there were more of these than there were Ashlings, and that's because a different card actually made this a multi-deck all-star. So it was very popular. It was a 4 of in the Elemental deck, but there was another version of the Elemental deck that didn't run Ashling or Roaming Throne, if you can believe it.
Wow.
It ran this card.
Now let me ask before I read this. You said that the Elemental deck played this as a 4 of. That's really interesting to me because, like, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain, I feel like we would not want to play this as a 4 of because it's, like, so expensive. Or is it because it's pretty easy to make it cheap that you just, like, want to see it?
Well,
because it's like your bomb.
It is absolutely your bomb. This is the thing that wrecked the Badger Mole Cub decks and gave Elementals a winning matchup against them, because the Badger Mole Cub decks were animating lands into creatures and using them for mana.
Oh, and then it bounces the lands.
When you bounce the lands, ooh. Yeah, so that's how Sunderflock and the Elemental deck had a great record as one of the many decks that had a good record against the Badger Mole Cub decks, who were the public enemy #1 going in.
Okay, that makes some sense. Hey, I remember this card. You showed me this. The Crab, the Eddie Merc Crab. 5 and 2 blue for a 5/5 elemental with flash. Costs 1 less for cast for each instant sorcery in your graveyard. I get it. So basically, because this was cheap, this made it that the Sunderflock was super cheap as well. Because then you're just really able... Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay. In that case, I can see this being a 4 of then. Because you just load up your grave, you play this for basically nothing, and then you can Sunderflock them for basically nothing on the following turn. That's crazy.
Yep, this is your version of the Elemental deck and mine. This is the very blue version where we're just playing removal and draw and removal and draw. And when the graveyard's full, we slam a crab and a Sunderflock, and we made 10 power and toughness and wiped their whole board.
That's funny.
We're gonna and now we're gonna win. Yep.
Right. Having that bridge is because it reduces it by its total cost, right? X is the greatest. Yeah. So it's by 7. That's crazy. So you're playing Sunderflock for 2. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool synergy.
And another cool synergy. We secretly, carefully, and totally planned this. Knew this the whole time. Explained why Oko's so popular, because the +2 makes the creature immune to Sunderflock.
Oh,
look at that.
Yeah, it works because it's an elemental. Cute. That actually I'm surprised that even came up at all, to be honest, but that's very fancy.
I'm blown away too. But I feel so much smarter now.
I love card games.
Yeah, that's why you watch these videos, right, guys? Right.
Exactly.
It's not for me to be
they watch these videos
to
prove how big their 500 IQ galactic brains are, because they never get anything wrong. CGB.
Is that true? Is that how it works? Wow,
they've never been
crazy.
Wrong. They've never been wrong.
It must be nice. You know what I mean? Must be nice. Here's another blue card. This will be a fun one.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense though, because I'm looking back. I'm like, yeah, if I knew that, like, I wasn't thinking you could discount it for 7. That's crazy. Knowing that, then okay, now it makes sense as a 4 of. All right, Glenn Alendra's Answer. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, cool. 2 and 2 blue for an instant, kind of expensive. Can't be countered. Your favorite line of text. Counter all spells your opponent controls and all abilities your opponents control. Create a 1/1 blue and black fairy creature token with flying for each spell and ability countered this way. Interesting. So basically what this is saying is that if there's a bunch of shit on the stack, regardless of what it all is, you get to counter all of it.
And you get creatures for it.
And you get creatures for it too. It's only your so how does this work if there's multiple stuff on the stack from both you and your opponent, and then you cast this? Is that only counters their stuff?
Yeah. All your stuff that can resolve resolves.
That's insane. That, like, in Yu-Gi-Oh, that would never work. Would it? I don't know. We had this new card that they printed relatively recently. And it's kind of cool because, like, in Yu-Gi-Oh, the stack works differently, and you can actually use the stack to, like, block and protect effects that are lower down on the stack. Because, like, in our game, when you resolve the stack, you can't put stuff on the stack as it's resolving. And so as a result of that, we call it chain blocking. So, for example, let's say you summon 2 monsters at the same time that both have, like, enter effects, or as we have to call them, unsummon effects, right? You can choose to put them on the stack, like, Chain Link 1 monster A, Chain Link 2 monster B. If your opponent has, like, a counter spell that says, like, negate the activated effect of a monster, because you put monster A as the first thing on the stack, you actually protect it, and the only thing they can negate with that effect is monster B. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As weird as it is, because it's like your game doesn't work like that at all.
Weird.
It is weird.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. Right.
I'm still like, wait, you can special summon multiple things in a turn. Whoa.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, because, like, in your game, monster B could resolve, and then you could use your counter spell to stop monster A, like, on the stack, right? But because you have to wait for everything to resolve in our game before starting a new stack, it's a lot different. But they recently, the where I'm going with this is they printed a monster recently that allows you to, like, negate stuff that's, like, further down the chain that you wouldn't be able to negate otherwise, which is really cool. It's like design space that we haven't explored yet in our game. So, like, in your game, the fact that you can do stuff like this is crazy to me, because that's, like, unheard of in our game. Or if there's like one card I can think of that's kind of similar to this called Vanity's Call, but it negates everything on the stack, not just your opponent's stuff. And that card sucks. So that card's never seen play. Anyway, this is a cool card. This is like, I like what this is doing. My biggest concern with it is it's expensive. It's very expensive. It's like 2 and 2 blue, which, like, if you're playing controls, probably not like the end of the world. But the other thing is too, is like your opponent has to be like using, because like the way to play around this is you don't use abilities, right? Like if you already have an established board and your opponent's just like swinging into you, this card does nothing because it only counters spells. I guess you can stop like something from being played. It only counters spells and abilities. But if your opponent already has like 3 guys and they're just going face with everything, this card doesn't actually do anything. So I think there's like a pretty big downside to it as well. In an established board state, of course. But obviously your opponent's going to try to activate something at some point. But then it's like, are they going to do enough things that you're going to get like enough value out of this card to feel like it's worth it, I guess is the question. So I guess my question is, are there decks that have like abilities that are going to like trigger multiple times in a stack? Like, is there like something enters and there's 4 things that trigger to like make a 1/1 or something? Is there like any deck that does something like that?
There's a very popular landfall deck that does something like that.
Okay.
Basically, a land enters and puts like 4 triggers on the stack from 4 different permanents.
Okay. So it's not like it's uncommon for that. I mean, it might be rare that happens, but it's doable is what I'm thinking. Because like 4 mana just for a counter spell is kind of a lot when the base rate is... What's the base rate of a counter spell in standard? 2, 3?
You try to find a way to do it for 2, but sometimes you go to 3.
Okay. So... maybe there was like a deck or 2 that played a couple copies of these. I'll say like 4. I'll be generous. Less
than a Bitterbloom Bearer?
Yes, I think Bitterbloom Bearer has more utility than this card. I think it's just so specific what you're trying to use this for, at least from my perspective.
And I'll give you this one. It's a 0. It's actually 0 copies. 0 copies played.
I thought there might be like 1 or 2 decks that would play like 1 or 2 copies of this. Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
So the thing that I think sinks Glenn Alendra's answer, because as a control mage, I'm very much.
I was about to say you probably have a lot to say about this card.
Yeah, I want to put like 1 or 2 in my sideboard, not even for the landfall deck, but for the must counter thing. The control decks that are running 7 mana instants, which do exist, that kind of win the game, that you absolutely must win the counter war against.
And this can't be countered, so...
Yeah, I want to run Glenalendra's Answer. The problem with Glenalendra's Answer isn't the cost, really. I think the cost would be totally fine, and I think that we'd pay it if it didn't also counter the spells. You see, you can't counter what's uncounterable, and there are multiple effects and seemingly more cards every day that make spells uncounterable, even in standard. So like in the case of the control deck that wins with the 7 mana instant, Jeskai Revelation, for those wondering at home, they have a card called Mistrise Village, which is a land that they can use to make their next spell uncounterable.
Oh, it's like Cavern of Souls for a spell? That's cool.
Yeah, so I really think that what went wrong with Glenalendra's Answer, truly, it should have just said exile all spells and abilities like your opponent's control, so that it got around the counter thing, because not only can this not be countered, but a lot of things now in the format can't be countered. So
how do you feel about that?
Why do we have a more expensive counterspell? How do you think I feel about that?
Okay, maybe that was a loaded question. Let me rephrase. How does the general like Magic community feel about that?
I'm gonna save all of this for a later card.
Okay, we'll get into it.
We're gonna squeeze the watch time. We're gonna get some juice out of this. Yeah. I've got another card coming, and we'll talk. We'll talk all about it.
Because I have thoughts about this as well, but I want to hear what you think, because you're the actual Magic player.
In the meantime, let's look at one of those landfall cards.
Sapling Nursery. Very cute. Oh my god, this is 6 and 2 green. I didn't see that. All right. But it has affinity for forests, which costs 1 less for each forest you control. It seems like nowadays everything that's expensive has a way to reduce the cost. Crazy.
Weird. How did this happen?
Yu-Gi-Oh! Probably. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you get to create a 3/4 green treefolk creature token with reach. This is an enchantment, by the way. I did not say that. And for 1 and a green, you can exile this. Treefolk and forest you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Affinity for forests, huh? All right, I guess I have a question here. How many of the lands that these decks are playing are actually forests versus like non-forests?
The technically correct answer is around 13.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, like, of the lands that are being played, are most of them having the forest typing if you're going to play a deck like this?
About 13 have the forest type.
Out of how many lands?
Probably
like 17?
About 26, 27.
Holy shit. Okay.
Because they're a landfall deck.
Oh, that makes sense. So they played more lands than a normal deck.
Okay, so I'm not just trying to trick you. There's a lot of lands that sacrifice to search for a forest and put it into play.
Right? That's fine too, because like I'm counting that as like a copy of a forest, essentially.
Oh, well, if you're counting that, pretty much all of them.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure with like the land base in standard if like I know you can play basic forest, but obviously you want to play good lands. So like I wasn't sure if the good lands also count or get you to forests. That's what I was asking. Essentially.
Yeah,
so it seems like all
basic,
of them.
They're basic versions of fetch lands. So
Got it.
Evolving Wilds and things like Evolving Wilds,
they
like Escape Tunnel, they sack to go get you a basic forest. Yep.
Got it.
Fable Passage sacks and gets you a basic forest.
Basic. I'm also asking too. I was gonna say basically. Haha. Is because I was trying to figure out like how quickly you can get this card online, because it's like, okay, turn 1 you play a Land of War Elves. And then turn 2, you have 2 lands plus the elf for 3. But then you can play Badger Mole Cub. So that means you could probably play this card on turn 3, most likely.
If
my math is right. Yeah. Okay. So
you can have we did the Cub math before. You can have 10 mana on turn 3.
Well, how much is it if you just have 1 Cub though?
Right.
It's still 10? I thought that was with 2 Cubs.
It was with 2 Cubs. So with 1 Cub and a turn 1 Llanowar Elf, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and reduced by 3 is, oh yeah, you can play this.
So you can easily pay for this on turn 3. Okay,
you can probably have a Tree Folk as well. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, so you can play this first, then play your land, then get the Tree Folk. Okay. And then 1 and a green, exile, Tree Folk and Forest gain indestructible, so then you can protect them potentially from like a board wipe and stuff. Okay, so you turn 3 this. That's like best case scenario, obviously. That would require you to have a Land of War Elves and a Cub and this. But if your deck's trying to do that, like maybe that's like the whole point. And And then from that point on, I guess my next question is there a lot of enchantment removal in the format?
Not a lot.
Okay. Or if anything, it's like sideboarded.
There's definitely some decks that don't even have a reliable removal for enchantments, and any white deck has 4 of a card called Get Lost that does happen to also hit enchantments.
Sure.
So it's hard for, I can't say it's none. Okay. But I also don't have right in front of me how many Get Lost were played at the tournament.
Are tree folk considered elementals?
No, they're tree folk.
I don't know the lore, okay? I don't think that's a ridiculous question to ask. Okay, so now that I figured out all the math, now that I know you can do this on turn 3 if like the planets align and you have all these cards to do that, then every time you're playing a land, but you could also play a land that fetches you another land, so then it's like you're getting like 6-8 worth of stats every turn, and that's without even playing anything. It's pretty cool. It is a bit do nothing initially, but then it like slowly starts to like ramp out of control, which is fine. I'm trying to think like what the rest of this deck looks like. I mean, it could just be like all lands matter type stuff.
It's a lot of lands matter stuff.
Yeah. Is there other like
did a
good
lot with that this year?
Okay, so there's a lot of good landfall stuff aside from this, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll be nice. I'll say 20 copies of this.
Are you sure?
Sure.
Wow, that's right on.
Is it?
Yeah, that's exactly.
You jerk. You're like 20 copies. You're insane.
Wow. No, that's 22nd most played card with 20 copies on the button.
Wow.
Yeah.
I get like triple points for that. That's crazy.
Kind of. I told you you're good at this. It's kind of insane.
Well, this is like the only one I've gotten right so far, so I wouldn't say I'm good at this.
Well, I mean, getting right on the button is a little insane. I think you get some leeway.
Well, I guess I'm like, I have more right than wrong so far. So yeah. Okay.
This interestingly, this is one of the kind of breakout cards going into the meta after the Pro Tour, because now this mono green deck is by far the most played deck. It's absolutely popping off. Decks with 4 of Nursery are number 1 in the Arena Championship that happened last weekend.
Oh wow!
So that's kind of a big thing going on. It's now the meta baddie. Check out this card. Check out this combo really quick. It sounds like Disney, but oh my god.
Fecund Green Shell. How the hell do you say that?
You're close to right. I know how most people say it.
That's what I was thinking too. 3 and 2 green for a 4/6 turtle, elemental turtle specifically, with reach. I don't know how a turtle has reach, but okay. Maybe it has a long neck. As long as you control 10 or more lands, creatures you control get +2/+2. Okay. And whenever this or another creature you control with toughness greater than its power enters, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may... Oh, Jesus Christ. You may put it onto the battlefield tapped, otherwise put it into your hand. That's... Okay. Yeah, that's a cool combo.
Yeah. Bang, 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 bang. Tree folk. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's pretty sick. So that's been going around a little bit. Some decks run the green shell. Some just don't, and they run the Nursery with other landfall creatures. But this has become actually the most powerful and played aggro deck in a while, which is kind of wild to see.
Yeah.
But that's what's happened since the Pro Tour anyway.
I imagine there must be other pieces too, though, because I'd be like, this doesn't seem like enough. But it's like this is like the dream combo if you open this, I imagine.
Oh yeah, this is the overtop kind of Disney version. So I don't know if I ever showed you this, but I'll show you another card. So there's the 1-mana Chocobo, all right, that just gets a +1/+1 counter every time a land enters the battlefield.
Simple enough.
It's just it's a 1 green 0/1 bird, and it gets counters. So that's that's your early threat along with Llanowar Elves. And then they have this card.
Mossborn Hydra. You've not shown me this. 2 and a green for an elemental Hydra with trample. It enters with +1/+1 counters with a +1/+1 counter on, excuse me. And then landfall, whenever a land you control enters. Oh, that's cool. So you just keep doubling it over and over again.
Yeah, you would be amazed at how fast it adds up.
Sure.
And
well, especially with like the fake, like the bad fetch lands, if you will. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, and then there's this card that like takes you to Timmy Paradise, I suppose.
Timmy Paradise. Might Form Harmonizer. 2/2 green for a 4/4 insect druid. Interesting typing. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, double the power of target creature you control until end of turn, and it has warp 2 green. Yeah, I definitely see that as Timmy Paradise for sure.
People are being attacked, Simo, for 120 some damage on turn 3 or 4.
That's
4,
all?
I guess.
Just
Yeah,
turn
that's
4.
all.
That's all.
I know it's not Cactar numbers, but Simo, I'm telling you, the Timmies are out of control. It's gone way off the deep end.
They've gone way too far.
Yeah, play Llanowar Elf on 1, Hydra on 2, Harmonizer fetch land on 3. How big is that? That's 1. That becomes 2. That becomes 4. That becomes 5. That becomes no. 4 becomes 8. 8 becomes that's 16.
16.
Did I do that right? Yeah, that's already pretty good on turn 3. That's turn 3, and it's only gonna get bigger if another land enters. Yeah, it's messed up.
What happened to
This
standard
is
being
what
the
they're
slow
doing.
format? What happened?
Don't get me started.
That's for a different video.
They don't even let you slow it down anymore. They're like, we have to make sure everybody gets their
welcome to the
jollies.
Yu-Gi-Oh side of things. Things only speed up.
Makes
We're
me
printing
angry.
more and more cards that are tier 0 interaction. So, or excuse me, turn 0 interaction.
We're gonna need it in standard, man. We need free stuff in standard.
Moon Shadow, sick art. This is 1 black for a 7/7. I imagine there's a reason it costs that much. It has menace for some reason. That's pretty menacing, actually. I just realized the bottom. I looked at the top half and I looked at the bottom half and I'm like, oh, that is pretty menacing. This creature enters with 6/1/1 -1/-1 counters on it. Excuse me. Oh, it's like that one bad green card. Okay, and then whenever 1 or more permanent cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere. While this creature has a -1/-1 counter on it, remove a -1 counter from this creature. Well, the green version of this was terrible.
Yeah.
But this is different because this is in black. And it's way easier to remove the counters on this. So, I guess let me ask a question. If there is a card... let me go back up here. Let's take Oko. Oko says mill 3. When you do that, does it trigger 3 times, or does that only count as 1 instance? You only remove 1 card or 1 counter.
Because it says whenever 1 or more are put into a graveyard from anywhere, it would remove 1 counter, regardless, as long as it hit 1 permanent.
Yeah, presumably.
If it hit 3 permanents, still 1 counter in that case.
Got it. In Yu-Gi-Oh, like that's typically how that type of effect works. I know in Magic, though, there are some cards that it's like, oh, you trigger it multiple times, even if it's worded somewhat similarly to this. So that's why I had to ask. So the green version of this sucked. This has menace.
Half the cost.
It's half the cost. I mean, being a 1-drop is pretty relevant, but I mean, you're fighting for space for the 1-drop slot for sure. I'm trying to recall if we saw a good way to get like a good benefit for getting rid of the counters aside from just making this thing bigger. Because I think there was like some synergies. What is it, Blight or whatever?
Yeah, there's the Dawn Dissident and there's some Blight stuff. I don't think those are.
They're not like
where
particularly
you're finding
crazy.
the use for this. Yeah.
It's more like, do you just want a big thing that maybe has some other incidental synergy? The fact that you don't get to trigger it multiple times off of like 1 mil, as an example, isn't great. I think that'd make this a lot better and probably too good.
It would be good. It would probably be way too good.
I'm trying to think I'm thinking it would be like way too good if you could do it that way. But is it still good enough in this form? Because you could go like Moon Shadow, then maybe like on your next turn you like crack a bad fetch land, so then you get like one thing in the graveyard that way, and then maybe you have a thing that like mills you, so then you have a thing that way. I don't know, man. It seems like a lot of work. It seems better than the green one, but like even so,
the green one was 0.
Right, I remember.
Is it better or worse than a Bitterbloom Bearer?
I'm trying to think of like what other uses you could have for this. But maybe there aren't any. Like maybe it's just
Cheap, big, chonky.
yeah,
Away
like
we go.
maybe they just had this thing and it's like there to enable some stuff, but that stuff just didn't come to fruition. I guess I'll go with 0. I mean, the other guy was 0. I think this is better than the other guy, but like even then, I didn't really see a purpose for that card. So there's probably something I'm missing that maybe this card's a bit better. But even then, I don't think this card saw a ton of play. So, but I'll go with 0.
It is a $20 mythic, and I think I don't play like Modern, but I imagine people in Modern with fetch lands are drooling over Moonshadow. As far as Pro Tour Lorwyn Eclipse and Standard, 8 copies were registered, with none making the top 8, making it the 29th most played Lorwyn Eclipse card. But
Okay,
not 0. It was
Not
half
0.
half as good as a Bitterbloom Bearer.
In the decks, what like that did play it, what were they trying to do with it? Or was it just a guy?
Just a guy.
Okay. There was no other
just
synergy.
a turn one, just a
like
turn
a guy.
one play that got big. Yep.
Sure.
This I haven't like closely found the lists. What I had the most success with Moonshadow for was like the Mill Yourself, Esper Origins, Surveil decks, and maybe some of the Reanimator decks where they just didn't have anything else to do on turn 1, but they have
and it's
Surveil
just like,
lands
here's a
and they
guy.
have things that let them discard cards from their hand. There's also a Rakdos Monument deck running around, which is all about discarding your own cards for various values. And if you're discarding permanents to open-ended discard outlets, then I guess it's possible to just grow Moonshadow really, really fast. So maybe that's where it got played.
Maybe.
There are 6 copies of this card called Iron Shield Elf that were registered, which is a discard outlet. It's just discard a card to make this indestructible till end of turn. Maybe they went together. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
Let
I
me
think
know in the comments, what are they doing with Moonshadow and Standard? Because I still don't see it. I haven't seen it yet.
what's the there's like a pre-modern card that's just like discard a card and this thing gets like +1/+1 or something.
Pre-modern card?
Yeah.
Are you playing pre-modern?
No,
the
I only
format?
did because I was being taught it by some people.
Oh, that's right. You're thinking of Wild Mongrel. Yep.
Is that what I'm
Or
thinking of? I thought it was like
Aquamoeba, one of the two.
Is that what it is? I thought it was like in a Tog or something.
Oh, you're thinking of Psychotog?
Yeah, Psychotog.
Oh,
that was the
different.
card.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah, so
I hadn't paired those up yet. Okay.
I was
Psychotog's
thinking
black,
if there
too.
was
That makes
something
sense.
like that to like pair with this, because then it's like, okay, you have a discard outlet for permanence, and then it's like you can guarantee that it'll trigger multiple times. I was trying to think if there was some like pair with that. And it sounds like with the Rakdos version of the deck, like there is. That's what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, it's a little something. It's got a little something going on.
Yeah, I think it's like for other formats though. That's what it seems like to me. This didn't really seem like a standard card.
No, not exactly. All right, let's rate another standard card.
Okay. Ashling's Command. Cool. 3, a blue and a red for a Kindred Instant Elemental. Do I need to be... is Kindred Instant noteworthy at all, or is it just a new typing?
It is a unique typing that doesn't come up on cards very much, but it means that this spell is an elemental in spirit and in function. So yeah, if you have a Cavern of Souls that can cast it says no, Cavern of Souls says cast a creature spell, so never mind. But if you had something that said it can only cast an elemental spell, it could cast Ashling's Command.
So this is your version of a Pendulum Monster is what you're telling me, because it's like a spell and a creature, sort of.
I guess maybe.
I'm just making shit up.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I don't know what's going on.
You're not the person to ask that question to. Anyway,
no.
It says choose 2. I'm probably not even the person to ask that. It says choose 2. Create a token that's a copy of target elemental you control. Target player draws 2 cards. Ashling's Command deals 2 damage to each creature target player controls. And target player creates 2 treasure tokens. And this is 5 mana.
It's a pot of greed.
That is not a pot of greed, my friend.
No, you don't think so?
That's a very expensive pot of greed. I guess my question is, are there cards to there is, right? The Ashling whatever gave you like 2 red mana or something, right?
Yep. That's right.
Okay. So there's ways to ramp to get to the mana. Is there other ways to reduce this card's cost?
Things that would reduce the cost of elementals or instants would reduce its cost.
So if there's like a guy that says like reduce the cost of all elementals by 1, this would count even though it's not technically a creature. Okay.
It is so an elemental.
That's where the kindred instant part comes in. Got it. Okay. Okay, yeah, because you're never casting this for 5, like unless you're desperate. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how do you abuse this essentially? So the Ashling gives you the mana to do it. There are ways to reduce it. And then there's all the abilities. Like drawing 2 cards is good. Making it so that everything takes 2 damage is interesting. Copying an elemental
could make a Sunderflock at instant speed.
That's
you
cute.
Bounce everything again.
You can you technically make a copy of this?
No, because it's not on the battlefield. It only is on the stack and then goes to the graveyard.
Right. Okay, sure. Because they said target elemental. I'm like, oh, that'd be funny if you just like keep copying it and then, but that obviously wouldn't work. And then, you could just get, or you just get 2
doesn't
treasures.
work that way.
Okay, I tried. I'm trying to break your game. Yeah, copying a Sunderflock's cute because you can do it like you play it, and then if you have mana up, or just on your next turn, just do it. You know, so it's like you have multiple copies. That's probably an interaction that's relevant.
You can copy the feckin' green shell
because it's an elemental.
And then it triggers off the other green shell.
That's so funny.
And then you get 2 triggers for every single land that enters and triggers your nursery. Okay, I'm stopping. I've got to stop.
That'd require you to play 3 colors though too. Okay, there's probably a non-zero number of this card. How many of this would you play? It's expensive.
You like this one?
Yeah, well, especially with the Sunderflock synergy too that you mentioned, because like I was looking back at the other elementals, and it's like that's pretty good because then it's like you have effectively like 8 copies of Sunderflock. I still don't think you'd play a ton of this card because it is expensive, and if you don't have the setup for it, like you never actually want to pay 5 for this. That's like, I feel like that's not a good rate. So we had how many Sunderflocks? It was like 100 and something.
143 Sunderflocks.
I think maybe half that amount were played in Ashling's Command. So I'll go like, and I'll go a little bit lower. I'll go like 60 copies of this were played.
More Ashling's Commands than Bitterbloom Bearers.
I think so.
Okay. You're going to be wrong on this one. Ashling's Command had 10 copies.
Wow.
10 little copies. It is expensive. I think that is a big concern.
In most of the decks?
I mean, I would have to look up the individual list, but I'm guessing so.
Got it.
Like, I don't think you'd play very many Ashling's Commands in.
I thought 2
just
of
because
it
of the 5 mana.
Yeah, it just seems too expensive. But I thought, again, with the Sunderflock synergy, like that seems pretty good.
It does. It does seem good. But you know what else you could do? You could play a 1 mana spell called Bounce Off that returns a creature to owner's hand.
And just play it again.
Could get your Sunderflock off that way. So
it's
kind of a cheaper way to pull off the cool thing, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
All right. How about... Oh, yeah, we want to believe in Ashling's Command. It's seen more play than I thought it would. I thought it was too expensive to see any play, but it did make the cut. More so than some of our other cards.
All right. Wistfulness. Oh, it's another one of these. These were cool. These are 3. Wistfulness is 3 and 2 hybrid green-blue mana for an elemental incarnation. That is a 6/5. You can evoke it for just 2 green-blue hybrid mana if you wish. But when this enters, if double green was spent to cast it, you exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. When it enters, if you use double blue, you draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Immediately, this is not as good as Deceit. I think Deceit is way better than this. I don't think this card's like awful, but Deceit just like in terms of value, I feel like is just way, because Deceit was what? Double black, it's Thoughtseize, double blue, it bounces something, right?
Yeah. The
That's
hand knowledge.
way better.
It's game over.
It's game
the
over.
Yu-Gi-Oh player fears
Game
the hand
over.
knowledge.
Exactly. But also just like the double blue bouncing something too. That just seemed more useful. Not that drawing 2 cards discarding's bad, but the double green to pop an artifact or enchantment. I guess how relevant is that? Like, are there is there like N or several artifacts that you like want to destroy in this format?
Have we covered any? Let's see. I
There was Monument, but I don't know if people are still playing Monument.
Right. And there's also Monument and Artist Talent, that combination definitely got registered a good amount. It's still one of the popular decks in the format. It won Worlds. It wasn't nearly as dominant at this event, but it did get played. So most decks, if they can, want to be able to pop an artifact or enchantment somehow. The decks that lack ability to do so often get punished by some hate piece, some floodgatey hate piece out of the sideboards.
Sure. This could be a sideboard card. I mean, it's like, especially if you're going up against the sapling thing.
The
that was an
nursery.
enchantment. The nursery.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. It's an enchantment.
Yeah, like this to me reads sideboard piece. Like this doesn't read something you'd really want to main deck. Like unless there is like way more artifacts and enchantments that I'm aware of. I just feel like Deceit is way better, and you'd rather just play that most of the time.
You're not impressed by draw 2, discard 1.
If it was just draw 2, maybe. But even then, as like only one part of it's like you're most likely casting this for the double blue, and then unless you're bringing it out of the side, then it's like you're playing it for the double green. So
well, remember the roaming throne. Remember the Ashling.
Yeah, like that.
Not impressed.
No,
okay.
No.
Okay.
I give it like 40, and I feel like people are siding it more than maining it, to be honest.
You give it like 40.
Yeah. I guess it's an elemental. Like maybe that would be like the reason to play it too, because you just want a high enough density of good elementals. But I'm still not like super convinced. I'll give it 40.
Okay. This is the second most played card from Lorwyn Eclipsed at this Pro Tour. That's right. The Wistfulness. Yeah. You're looking at him. Where's his number? There it is. 341 copies.
Okay, you're going to have to explain this one to me.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up. 341 copies of Wistfulness at Pro Tour Lorwyn Eclipse. What was the number 1 card? Let me see. Just got me curious because we covered it. It was Formidable Speaker, 419 copies. Yeah. Yep. I mean, besides being a creature that you can tutor with Formidable Speaker to remove a pesky enchantment or a thing of that nature, Wistfulness was one of the go-tos for the Roaming Throne deck just because of the amount of value you got off of the card draw. Pretty much all of the
Roaming
Roaming
Throne
Throne decks.
Discard 2.
Yep, pretty much all of the Roaming Throne decks ran 4 copies of Wistfulness. Okay. Wistfulness was a tutor option in most of the Badger Mold Cub decks, in some sense, with maybe another copy in the sideboard to remove the hate pieces that came out of the sideboard. But Wistfulness also saw play in other unique spots. The Mightform Harmonizer deck, for whatever reason, one Wistfulness in the main deck and one in the sideboard. This was a combo deck, a big combo deck piece. And I guess they just wanted to be able to tutor up a Wistfulness sometimes if they needed to. With they had Analyze the Pollen, which is a 1 mana, sometimes gets you a creature of your choice from your deck. So sometimes like the fact that you could often, because it's attached to a body, get a way to remove an opposing floodgate or hate piece, but the rest of the time, if you just drew it when you didn't need it, it many ways cycled itself, made it a good one of for any deck with a tutor. Yep.
Right.
And but that's probably not where Wistfulness got all of, like we've already covered like 3 archetypes. The archetype that I think it's most thought of with in Standard is the Reanimator deck. And Reanimator did not have a good Pro Tour, but it was still well represented in the field. And in Reanimator, Wistfulness is not only a body that goes to the graveyard, but it lets you dump your giant monster into the graveyard as well, using the blue effect.
The blue.
And the cards that hose Reanimator the hardest are artifacts and enchantments. Rest in Peace, Soul Guide Lantern, some of the Leyline of the Void are all things that are like Ghost Vacuum. These are all legal in Standard that suck up the graveyard and ruin your graveyard strategy. And Wistfulness allowed them to main deck something that let them play their A plan of discard thing, reanimate it, or deal with the opponent's hate if they came prepared for it. So most decks ran 3 or 4 Wistfulness in terms of these Reanimator decks. And I think that's where the numbers for this card got pushed very high.
That's really interesting. It's just like on the surface, it doesn't seem like a 2 for 2's like that good. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, we got plenty of those because like usually most of them don't give you like direct card advantage like Pot of Greed would, but it's like we have plenty of, like discard a card, draw 2, or draw 2, then like banish 1 with some specifications, right? And it's like those cards are fine. Granted, this one has a lot more versatility because 1, it can also pop artifacts and enchantments, and 2, it's also a creature if you need it to be. And like, yeah, there's the synergy with the throne to like double up, so then it's like draw 4, discard 2. So then it's like,
gotta tell you, that feels really good.
Yeah, like because then you're turning it into like way, then it actually turns into card advantage at that point because then you're going +1. So I guess in my mind, that just seemed like it's not like that difficult to set up because it's only 2 cards. And it's like individually, those cards are both still probably respectively good anyway. But then like together, it's like 1 + 1 = 3 type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just undervalued how like strong that synergy can be. Because I don't know. I feel like from a Yu-Gi-Oh player perspective, this is like very unassumingly good.
I wouldn't have run out and bought 4 copies. You know, I too was like, this is fine. You know, I could see it in those sideboard rolls or those tutor rolls. I didn't see it being a slam 4 of these in my elemental deck. I didn't see that one coming. And I'm still like blown away. I also could have seen it used in Reanimator, but I didn't think Reanimator would stay as popular as it is. But it's true. It kind of snuck by me on the fact that the things that hose Reanimator are artifacts and enchantments. So this turns out to be exactly what they need. Exactly.
I just still feel like Deceit would be better, but like you could also just play this and just play like Soul Tie, and then it's like you go for Deceit 9 times out of 10, but then it's like, oh, you have Wistfulness as like an option. So
I fully agree. I can't believe it has more copies than Deceit. It's absolutely wild.
That's insane. Yeah, like crazy. I would have never guessed that ever. But you know, that's why card games are cool, right? Because like when we review stuff initially, we think like, oh, it's like mid. It's like, I don't think this card's bad. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have guessed that it's like the second most played card out of the new set. Like that's like mind blowing. But I love when stuff like that happens because it's like on paper, it's like, yeah, it's fine. But then when you play it, it's like, oh, this card's crazy, you know?
Well, crazy, mind blowing. These are all words. I'm going to show you a card.
Oh God.
And yeah, you just tell me all about what you think. How you think I feel about this card?
Well, I know it's not the first or second most played card. Hexing Squelcher. This is a 1 and a red goblin sorcerer. It's a 2/2. This can't be countered. Oh, I see why you like this already. It has ward, pay 2 life, which is even better. Spells you control can't be countered. Oh, awesome. And then other creatures you control have ward, pay 2 life. Huh. Would you look at that? This may as well just say anti-CGB card.
Yeah. I love this. This card is great. I love this card.
You're not being facetious at all. Yeah.
What a magic card.
So, do you want to go on a certain rant that we were talking about earlier?
Do they want, like... Do they just want the game to be over with as fast as possible? Are we trying to avoid any and all kind of back and forth whatsoever? Is there no such thing as a sub game anymore? The game is already so fast and punishing that if like I go into turn 2 and I have a spell snare, so that's why I kept my hand. So I thought I'd survive till turn 4, and you play this and then proceed to just run me over and I never do anything. Is that what you want your game to be? Why even have the effect of countering a spell if nothing can be countered anymore? Why? What's the point of that? How about this? How about everything we play just happens? Like in Commander, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Then we don't have to say, does it resolve? We don't have to click anything on Arena. Oh, wait, there's a game like this. I know, it does really good, or at least it used to, right? Ask Raren. Hearthstone did this. Everybody loves that, right? Maybe we should just play only on our turns. You know, keep our spells to ourselves. Keep our thoughts and spells and effects and abilities to ourselves. How about that? How about that, Simo? Is that good? Is that a fun game?
I'm clapping for you. You probably can't hear because of our mics, but I'm clapping for you.
This would be a good Yu-Gi-Oh card, right? Like you just slam this down, shut them down. Assume that counter is like hand traps in your game, right?
Yeah,
they just can't hand trap you. They can't do anything. It kind of
depends. Well, I mean, we have ways to do that too, but it kind of depends on how they'd word it too. Because like in your game, you can negate the activation or the effect of something, and sometimes both, and sometimes one or the other, and that can be like a weird semantic thing.
Yeah.
But like this is no different than like in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you put up a way to negate a hand trap before your opponent can like use their hand trap. Because then it's like, okay, well then what are we doing? Or there's like specific cards that like are made to almost like counter hand traps. Those have actually been getting like restricted as of late just because they're just not fun. Because it's like when you want to go, or when you go second, you want to at least have a way to fight back. But then if your opponent has things to stop your way of fighting back, that's not particularly fun. I agree with you. I don't understand like why they'll put lines of text on cards like this. And it seems like in your game, they're doing it more and more often. I really hate in Yu-Gi-Oh! When there's thing that says like this card, like, so the way we do it is we'll say like your opponent can't respond to this card's like effect or something like that. Or like they can't respond to it only with like certain types of card. I'm going to steal your video for a sec here.
Go.
Let me show you this card. That I've never showed you and probably never will otherwise. I think this is like an interesting way to do it. I still hate it, but I think it's a more interesting way to go about it. Give this a read.
Forbidden Droplet is a quick play spell. Send any number of other cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. Choose that many effect monsters your opponent controls. And until the end of this turn, their attack is halved. Also, their effects are negated. In response to this card's activation, your opponent cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same original type, like monster, spell, or trap, as the cards sent to the graveyard to activate this card. You can only activate one of these per turn.
So basically, it's like if I pitch a monster and a spell to negate two of your monster's effects, you can't use monsters or spells to respond to this card's effect. But hypothetically, you could still respond with trap effects.
Can I say what's about to happen in this art is disturbing? Like, where are we going right now?
What do you mean?
What happens next in the anime? Did they just cut to commercial? See you next week? Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly
oh my God. What are these little black nightmare fuels holding the insanely buff creature down? If you are listening to this, you need to go look up this card's art, this Forbidden Droplet. This is messed up. Okay.
It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
So like even an effect like this is annoying because like, okay, yeah, like if I discard a monster and a spell, you can still respond with traps. But like 99% of decks don't play trap cards. So this may as well just read your opponent can't respond to it like at all, essentially.
Yeah. Nice.
There are some effects that say like your opponent can't respond to this with monster effects. So what you can do to work around that is if you respond to that card with a spell effect first, like say that goes on the stack, because you're then now responding to your own spell effect, you can use a monster effect in response as well. So there's good ways to do this type of interaction, or non-interaction, I should say, and there's bad ways to do it. And I think Hexing Squelcher is like a bad way to do it because it's just it's not interesting. It's just boring. right?
Yeah,
It's like,
do they have it or not?
Yeah, it's like, if they have it, you're fucked. If not, well, okay, great, I win, right? It's just like it's a very one-dimensional, boring card, and I know games tend to have silver bullet cards that are like good against certain strategies or archetypes or whatever, but I think there's like a right and a wrong way to make them, and I think this is not the right way to do it.
Now I want to do a video with you of various silver bullets throughout the years, and you can just tell me right or wrong in SEMO vibes.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason like those cards need to exist to an extent, but I think it's like to the degree of how much silver they use in the bullet, I think is like up for debate, right?
How much do you think this card was pre-selling for? It's a rare, not a mythic.
Hexing Squelcher? Yeah. Pre-selling. Well, I guess it depends how much people hate blue, which is everyone except you and me.
Oh my God.
Probably like $15, maybe.
Try 50.
Are you joking?
Nope. That's how much they hate blue.
0.
That would have been a video game back in my day.
Wow.
I think that's still video games today.
No, they're like 70 now.
Jesus.
I know, right? That's what is it now? Like 3?
It has fallen, but this is still like a $15 card at the moment, which is very high for a rare.
That is high for a rare. Yeah. We never even got to how many copies of this got played.
No, we didn't.
No, we went on a complete side tangent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're only playing this in like a certain type of deck. Like not every deck is playing this, obviously. God, I hate this card.
Yes, we hate this card.
I know there's like some elemental decks that were playing red, so like you could just play this guy and then like make sure all your stuff goes through. Otherwise, you have to just play like full on aggro, or
maybe you make it an elemental with Oko, right? That's the line.
Oh, there you go. That's the line.
Yeah, that's the line.
What's red, green, blue?
Teamer.
Yeah, so maybe you have like a teamer thing going. I imagine some people were playing this. I don't know if like, I don't know though. Like if people hate blue, maybe a lot of people were playing this and I am misinformed. I'll say like 20 copies got played.
Okay. Tied with Sapling Nursery.
Yeah.
Okay. 4 copies. 4 little copies. And the thing so that
one guy.
I think one guy.
One blue hater.
One absolute you will not counter me today mono red goblins playing most likely player. Yeah, something like that. In standard, it's not making waves at this point because in standard, red's been nerfed so hard. The Heartfire Hero was banned. The Corey Steel Cutter was banned. Yep. The Vivi was banned. The Screaming whatever it was, Nemesis is banned. And the Monstrous Rage is banned. And nobody's playing red aggro right now.
Imagine if that was legal and all those were legal.
You know, there is a version of standard that's supposed to exist right now that involves these cards. Yeah, if they were banned, this would all come together. Absolutely. That's funny. Yep. In fact, I've thought about making videos about it. You know, the as intended standard. And yep, that would be fun to make. That would be great. I can't imagine whoever was designing this was like, you know, we're winning so hard already. How can we win harder? And here we go. But the card's price and popularity are definitely being driven in the EDH community, in the Commander community.
Sure,
where
of course
people don't just hate blue; they really hate blue. But in the CEDH community, they also will use everything to win. And this is
of course
like every CEDH pod has between 20 and 100 counter spells in it. Right. So. Hexing Squelcher is an I win button in that format.
Oh, I bet for sure.
And people are, there have been some videos by some other content creators saying, please don't let this card touch the CEDH format, please.
Yeah, I can see why.
But did I tell you about the, what was it? The 11-hour like
yes, you told me about the where the person was going to miss their flight, and that was a bargaining chip.
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
So, little conspiracy theory. That's where this came from.
Maybe. We'll never know.
But in the meantime, I get to have this card in my game forever, and I get to feel my feelings about it. I get to see it on turn 2 in Best of 1 Arena from time to time, and I get to look at my hand and ask why I decided to play this game today and how I could do anything else in the universe with my time. I could drive all the way to town, like 30 miles, just to get a boba tea and drive back, and that would be more productive and feel a lot better.
Okay, next time play with CGB, play Hexing Squelcher to tilt. And Cactar.